Welcome to Retirement Decoded with your host, Scott Tucker, where we break down the complexities of retirement planning to give you clear, actionable advice. Whether you're just starting out or getting ready to retire, Scott's here to help you make informed decisions and secure your financial future. Tune in each week as we simplify the process and decode the path to a stress-free retirement. Now, here's your host, Scott Tucker.
Welcome to Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker, the podcast. I'm your host, Scott Tucker, and my trusty podcast sidekick is most of the time is Associate Advisor Andre Hootie. Say hello, Andre Hootie.
Hello, Andre Hootie.
Andre Hootie, we're broadcasting from the Scott Tucker Solutions Studios, Belly of the Beast, Chicago, Illinois. Now, Andre, we are both federally licensed as investment advisor representatives. We can help Americans anywhere in America.
Yeah, as we do.
We're Americans, not Americans.
Exactly.
And we also have insurance licenses in Chicago or in Illinois, and we can get licenses in other states. I actually just renewed some insurance licenses in Texas recently for one of our Texas clients.
Yeah.
She needed help with some insurance stuff. And so there I was getting re-licensed or extended or renewed or something.
Right, yeah, and it's pretty easy, more or less.
Once you get it once. Sort of. If you call a government website easy.
Yeah, it's never easy. It's easier than doing it the first time around, though.
Yeah, I guess so. But, oh boy, government websites are my favorite. We have a question from Anthony. Anthony writes the podcast. He says, Scott, I'm retiring next year at age 62. Congratulations. So Anthony says, I'm retiring next year at age 62. I recently moved $1.5 million out of my 401k into an IRA. So I think a lot of people would be concerned, Andre, when you say you moved $1.5 million out of your 401k. Say, wait a minute, but it's actually a rollover to a traditional IRA. So not a taxable event, right, Andre?
No, rollovers are not taxable.
Yeah. I was planning on converting, and I should say Roth converting, around $750,000 to, over the next 7 years. Andre, what sticks out to you there? $1.5 million rollover from 401k to IRA. And then Anthony is thinking about Roth converting half of that, $750,000 over the next 7 years.
Well, my first question is, why are you only planning for half of it?
And why so slowly, so to speak?
Right. Yeah. 7 years seems like an odd way. I would understand if there's maybe a timeline.
He is 61 now. So this doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah, but
not to our way of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, like 70 would make sense. 68's a weird age to be done with that.
Well, he's 61 now. I know it's like a story problem. Right. Train leaves Kansas City eastbound at 80 miles an hour. So he's 61 now. He wants to retire next year at 62, and he wants to do Roth conversions over a 7-year period. There can be a better formula than that, Anthony, and I don't want to give you the advice and have you go run off half-cocked and mess it up. But go to tuckerretirement.com, get on our phone calendar. We'll walk you through a better plan. Why would you Roth convert only half of it and then leave the other half of it to still be a problem?
Right, exactly. And I can see maybe he's like looking at tax brackets and stuff, but then I would challenge you to look at future tax rates.
Yeah, we have a nice comparison. We do a future tax brackets. Everybody looks at today's tax brackets.
Yeah,
we already have tax brackets. The brackets in 2026, we go back to prior law, which is we go back to what the tax brackets were in the Obama administration. In 2028, we go into a thing called the budget showdown. In 2028, the rates have to go higher again. So that's why I don't like people going by today's tax brackets, because they're closing one eye. It's like they're looking at, we have a handout that we use, left eye, right eye almost, right? So it's on the left side, here's the Trump tax cut rates, which are going to end at the end of 2025. And then 2026, the Obama administration rates come back. And people are looking kind of on the left side of the ledger. Oh, what's the tax bracket over here? But then go and look on the right side of the thing here on the handout that we use, and you can see there that they're going to be dramatic. Tax brackets are going to be dramatically higher in 2026.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you're right. It is kind of a left to right side, and a lot of times when we talk about Roth conversions with our clients, we'll say, hey, here's where we are now. Here's kind of where your income limits are. Here's the bracket you're in, and here's how much maybe we can maximize. Here's how much room we have for Roth conversions. And usually we get a little bit of pushback, and they say, "Oh, that seems like a lot. Maybe we should do less." And then we show them the right side of the page, and it's, "Hey, you realize you're going to pay 3 or 4 more % just in that one bracket." Or it's actually it's like 25%.
Yeah, a lot more. Which is funny. You would never say, so delayed gratification always builds a better financial tomorrow. So you would never say, well, I can put so much money into my Roth 401k. Ooh, that's a lot. Maybe I should put less. Right? But when you go to get out of the hawk with Uncle Sam, because Uncle Sam, Anthony, on your traditional 401k, Uncle Sam looks at that entire 1.5 million as partly his money. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's gendered language, partly they money. So Anthony, you have 1.5 million that you took from your traditional 401k, put it in your traditional IRA, not a taxable event, but now you have 1.5 million in your IRA. You've never paid federal income tax on $1.5 million. That's how the IRS looks at it. And I know you might have only put in $0.5 million, and now it's $1.5 million with employer match and growth and all that. But now the IRS, the tax code treats you like you have $1.5 million US dollars in a traditional IRA, and some of that's Uncle Sam's.
Yeah, for as long as you have money in a traditional account, Uncle Sam is your partner.
It sounds funny. And we have same-sex couples, Andre, but I didn't know that Anthony was so certain that his Uncle Sam was his partner. Is that even legal? I mean, same-sex marriage is legal all across the country now, but is it legal to be married to your uncle?
I think it has to be like two cousins removed, right?
Oh boy. Does it make sense? Here we go. Andre, you remember, I don't know if you ever heard of, you've heard me talk about Bob Brinker.
I have.
Bob Brinker's now retired. He used to be nationally syndicated on maybe a number of people on the podcast didn't know who Bob Brinker is. He used to talk about building a CD ladder. And I'm like, why would you do that? Do you have too much spare time?
I mean, it makes sense when rates are really, really high, but when they're as low as they've been for the last decade and a half.
Well, Anthony's 61, so he's about 10 years older than me right now. And so he's heard of Bob Brinker. So here, Anthony goes off the reservation right here. I always say, like, let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be. So Anthony says, Scott, does it make sense to put that money, which is be now in Roth, I guess, once it's in Roth, does it make sense to put that money into a series of laddered certificates of deposit over 7 years at about 4%? So I don't know which money he's talking about. Is he talking about the traditional IRA money or the then converted money in the Roth? Because he wants to put $750,000 into a series of laddered CDs over 7 years at about 4%. Well, another thing, Andre, if you're laddering CDs, you may not always be getting 4%.
Yeah, you have a reinvestment risk down the line.
Yeah, you could get to where it used to be, where you're getting 1% and 0.5% and all that. As each certificate of deposit matures, move that to the Roth each year. So he's talking about doing it on the IRA side. Okay. So as each CD matures each year, move that money to the Roth with no risk to that $750,000. Andre, again, reinvestment risk. If we've had not too long ago, you might remember somewhere in that COVID mess, it was early, and I only remember it this way because I know there was an argument under if it was at President Trump or President Biden. It was actually in the early days of the Biden administration is when it happened to hit, where inflation went over 9%, and so inflation at one point was over 9%. At the same time, there was about a 6-month period where the Fed would not raise rates. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, no, this is temporary, which nobody thought it was temporary except for the Fed.
It was transitionary.
These super smart people at the Fed that had their head somewhere it shouldn't be. So it was like 9% inflation and like 1% interest rates. Yeah. Their CDs or whatever. So you could end up in a situation where you're saying you're getting 4% on your CDs. Well, maybe you're getting 1% and maybe inflation's 9% again and you're losing your keister. So as each CD matures, move that to the Roth each year with no risk to that $750,000. There's risk. The remaining and also another thing,
CDs can also change value.
Well, and that's another thing. If it's in he's talking about using the IRA money for the $750,000 of CDs. SIPC insurance limitation per depositor on an investment account is $500,000, not $750,000.
Right.
And even if you try to do it with non-retirement money, now the bank's FDIC insurance is even worse. It's only $250,000 per depositor, right, which is not what he asked. But just while we're at it, while we're shooting him full of holes, let's get that one too. Okay.
Might as well give him full info.
Boy, I tell you what, this is complicated stuff, isn't it? The remaining $750,000, I think he's saying that's in Roth. I don't know. Because he's saying he's moving the IRA. I don't know what he's saying. The remaining $750,000 would be invested in equities, which that's a fancy word, Anthony, for stocks. So I'm glad now everybody knows you went to college. It's just, we should always use common language. Just really the simplest words is better for most people, I think. The remaining $750,000 would be invested in stocks. And stocks have risk, and he's 61 already, and he's talking about doing this, I think, from 62 to 69, because he said that 7-year thing.
And it's half his money in stocks?
Half your world would be in stocks. Okay. It's the first time. This is the first time that Anthony has said we. So now we know that he has a spouse.
Okay, perfect.
It's the first time that he's remembered he has a spouse.
Well,
I wonder if his spouse thinks he's crazy.
Probably.
I'm not calling Anthony crazy. No. I'm just having fun with it because it makes a better podcast, and we could always make a better podcast. Right?
Yeah.
We get letters. We get lots and lots of letters.
We do.
We really don't need the IRA money anytime soon. Oh, is that what we say? Or are you saying that for you and your spouse? We really don't need the IRA money anytime soon. Appreciate your thoughts on this strategy. Anthony, thanks for writing the program, the podcast, and thanks for letting us have fun with this at your expense. This shows how complicated retirement planning can be. And also, there are little ways along here throughout this 10-sentence question that all in one paragraph, as all of them are. There are little things here that little bitty mistakes or missteps that could cause you a lot of trouble. If you'd like to get on our phone calendar, 15 minutes for free in the coming week, just go to tuckerretirement.com. We'd be happy to go through your stuff, and we don't make fun of you on the podcast. We just talk to you one-on-one like that, or Andre and I together over the telephone with you. So there's so many missteps that could happen here, and some of them are not converting all of it, converting it too slowly, laddering CDs, and having reinvestment risk. There's SIPC and FDIC insurance. There's a little bit of a murkiness here, I think, as to what ought to be happening with investments on the IRA side and the Roth side. And then you're also saying that we don't need the IRA money anytime soon. How many times, Andre, do clients tell us they don't need the money anytime soon, then like 3 months later they need the money?
Just about every client I have.
I mean, it's not always like hair and fire emergency. Some people never need the money, but a lot of times it's always the ones that say, "Oh, I'm not going to need the money for 12 months."
Yep.
Then they need it 7 months later.
Yeah.
The people who just say, "I don't spend anything," and I'm cheap, and I'm frugal, and I just never spend anything, and I save everything, and I'm afraid to spend money, and I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not going to do anything, and all this stuff. They usually don't do anything.
Right. No, we never hear from them until withdraw
we have
money.
to ask them, it's like, Andre, can you call are they still alive? Because, we do deal in the retirement business. No, they're still alive. They're like, no, I'm fine. Everything's great. I don't do anything.
I don't need any money. Just manage it.
We have a client that's quite wealthy, and he and his wife were talking about buying an RV, like one of those like tour bus things like that rock stars ride in, and those things can be the one they were thinking about. You could get it used for like $1 million, and they just never did it. And then about 5 years later, he said, I finally bought a new pickup truck because my old pickup truck was 20 years old. I'm like, what about that RV? You guys can do the RV thing? Nah, we're just going to stay home. They never asked for any money. It's kind of weird. And then, Anthony says, thanks for your thoughts on this strategy. And Anthony, thanks for being so brave to write the podcast, because we could shoot holes in probably most people's strategies. We're not trying to be overly critical. We care about people, and we don't want to see them make mistakes. And so a lot of this might not matter a lot. A lot of people think this couldn't go wrong. On the one hand, congratulations for saving $1.5 million in your 401k. I think it's great that you got it out to your traditional IRA, because now you have broader and potentially better investment choices there. And I'm glad you're thinking about Roth converting some of this, because Andre, so many people are not thinking about Roth converting any of it.
Yeah,
and they're going to grow nothing but higher taxes, and more revenue for the IRS over their lives, and they don't quite understand that. And I understand why people don't understand that.
Yeah, but Anthony's paying attention. I think he's very aware of.
He's halfway there.
Yeah,
living on a prayer.
Yeah, and Anthony, I'll say this. I think it's really important, and I'm glad you're doing this. That you're keeping an eye on the risk. The laddered CDs. It's not my favorite thing. I think it's a lot of tedious work, and there's a lot of reinvestment risk in the future. But I think it is a good thing that you are starting to be more conservative and think about how to make the money last in retirement and not risk all of it, because we sit down with people all the time and we see people with that have saved all their life in a 401k, and then they never move it out. They just take extra risk that they don't need, and then it just goes against them, and then all of a sudden they have to go back to work. So I'm glad you're looking to be a bit more conservative and how to be smarter with the money. But just get on our calendar, and we can maybe give you some more ideas of how to do that a little bit better.
Yeah, you can get on our phone calendar for free at tuckerretirement.com. Andre, I was going to say, and maybe I didn't get this thought out, or maybe didn't complete my thought. I do that sometimes. He saved $1.5 million, but at the same time, he hasn't saved $3 million. And I'm not saying that the number has to be $3 million. I'm saying with unnecessary taxes, unnecessary risk, poor investment returns, no good plan for inflation, taking Social Security too early, taking too much risk, if I didn't name that one already. There are about 5 major risks that people run into, or mistakes they make, where people can actually have $1.5 million. Heck, they can have $2 million. They can run out of money.
Yeah.
So we've had people retire, and we have to caution them. Okay, it's your money. We're sending it to you, but you gotta be a little bit more careful, because we've had people where they can run out of money because they get in a spending spree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much you saved.
Yeah. So you've been listening to Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. That's Andre Hootie. Give us a 5-star review on wherever you listen to your podcast. Go ahead and share this episode to the face page or whatnot, and we will see you on the next episode.
Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. A Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The views and opinions herein are those of Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.